Welcome, everybody, to the Baseline Show. It is July 27th, and we have our special guests and Baseline community members, Jack Gilcrest and Ian Brighton, here with us today to demo and talk to us about their very exciting work they've been doing. So with that, maybe we can start off with just some short intros again, just in case we have some new viewers out there and for when we circulate this video later on. Jack, if you want to go first and then hand over to Ian.
Sure. I'll try to keep it quick, but my name is Jack Gilcrest. I've been developing Solidity contracts for 3 or 4 years now. And pretty recently, actually, ETH Atlanta 2021, I was working on trying to baseline and figured out that a prerequisite to baselining was actually zero knowledge and basic competency with it. So pretty much ever since then, have been working on zero knowledge, both for privacy and scalability with Ian. And that first kind of culminated in 2022, February, the ETH Denver hackathon, where we were actually able to secure 6th out of like 171 teams, which was awesome. And that was demonstrating privacy, which is kind of the core part of zero knowledge as applied in baseline. But now we're actually working with a grant from the Ethereum Foundation's Privacy and Scalability Explorations team to take it one step further and actually develop something that leverages the same cryptography for scalability. So that's what we're working on right now is Zero Knowledge Rollup, and we're wrapping up kind of our first iteration of that. And yeah, it's been really fun to venture into the world of zero knowledge. So.
Yeah, and I'm Ian Brighton. I think Jack pretty much summarized what we're doing now in terms of ZK post ETH Denver. But my background in the space is I didn't really have any exposure to blockchain Web3 prior to working with Jack in a project a few summers ago, and been working together ever since. And you know, I think ETH Atlanta 2021 was definitely my introduction to the zero knowledge space, and you know, ever since then been working on Battleships. So super excited to be here, and I appreciate you having us.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. So I'll let you guys decide how you want to take over. I'm not sure if you wanted to demo something or just talk through the work you were doing, but let's get into it.
Yeah, it's a little early for demonstrations. I guess we can talk through a little bit of it. So there's actually kind of 2 parts to the iterations we're doing. There's one where we've taken a repository called Rollup NC non-custodial, and right now that's what we're almost done upgrading. So that's our first rollup. So Battlezips itself actually isn't quite over the finish line, but should be a lot easier once we build this first rollup. What Rollup NC is just like, I think it's Barry Whitehat who created the first zero knowledge rollup, at least publicly. His second iteration on that repository, 2018, 2019. I think 2019 is when the last commit was made. So we figured that both for like our purposes, learning how to use a rollup in like the most basic format, and to kind of like upgrade that repository for 2022 so that people can see how it all fits together with the current tools that are being used. We are going through and upgrading that repository. And then one of the really, the biggest undertaking has been that all of the unit testing, all the parameters were hard coded. So there's a couple of JSON files that are just stashed with a bunch of hashes and stuff that you would need for proofs. And if you're a new developer trying to come in and figure out exactly what's going on, that's very jarring and very confusing. It took a while for us to figure out. So what we've been doing is we've been constructing unit tests that generate all that data so that you can understand at a very granular level exactly how to employ these zero knowledge proofs in your applications. So we thought that was pretty novel, as kind of, again, a way to help other people kind of learn how to get more proficient with this technology. So that's kind of in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be putting that repository out. And anyone who's interested in how to be building kind of a layer 2 network, or anything where you're segregating the execution layer and the verification layer on the EVM, this is a really great place to start. So that's kind of what that is. And I guess Ian, before we kind of go on to the fun BattleZips part, do you kind of want to talk about the kind of goal, the end goal with doing that rollup as well, that the NC rollup?
Yeah, so Jack is doing a great job plugging away with that. But what we really want to do is do a case study on how much gas you can actually save for a large production scale Web3 application. We're thinking Uniswap would be a great way to demonstrate this. So we're going to compare a large batch of transactions that would take place on Uniswap, figure out the total gas cost of that amount, and see how much could be reduced with a rollup contract. So once that's done, we'll compare the two, and then really be able to represent a idea of how much gas you could save by converting a traditional Web3 application into a version that's rolled up. And really looking forward to getting to that.
Okay, to jump in and ask some questions.
Of course, yeah.
I want to throw off the vibe you got going. So all the work that's been done so far on the rollup NC repo, or at least you kind of modernizing it, none of that's available yet, right? That's going to drop soon.
Oh, I can put that here. I think that should be it. And so we're actually, ideally, we will get this fork merged onto the rollup. That's not something that's confirmed, or we've even talked to, I mean, this is with the PSC team, and Barry is in the PSC team. He does own that repository. So the prospect is pretty good, but we haven't actually entered these talks yet. He's super busy. We didn't want to come to him with anything that wasn't completely, anything that was half baked. We wanted it fully built. So once we do have that, we're hoping that he sees the merit in it, and we're able to upgrade that actual repository rather than it being a fork. But for now, it's in my GitHub.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. So if I were to go look at it today, are there any suggestions you give, not only to me but anybody watching? Where should I start? What's the best way to consume that?
Yeah, so we haven't completely hooked up all of the inputs. So just for updating the state with 4 transactions every batch, there's 150 inputs that go in, which is absurd. I will figure out how many it is when we're updating with batches of hundreds, when we're doing our case study. But that's the part we're working on right now. I would say the initial README that Barry produced for the repository it's very hard to understand, but it's also, if you do eventually, once it all clicks, you really do understand exactly what a zero knowledge rollup is and how the cryptography is exploited to compress this data. So I would say if you're just jumping in, that README is fantastic. And then in a couple of weeks, we will have the actual tests done, which will show you how all of that data is generated from scratch.
All right, and where should I keep watch for the drop? Are you gonna just post everywhere about it, or?
So yeah, we'll definitely make a little bit of noise, but we also have a BattleZips Discord, and BattleZips is not a product or anything. It's really just a kind of a community that we have slowly been forming around people who are all kind of interested in CIRCOM, which is kind of the tool of the trade for zero knowledge right now, and its applications. So again, whether it's this roll up stuff that you're following, battle zips, or you're just trying to actually you're asking questions, or you're trying to get skilled with zero knowledge, that Discord is somewhere where you can come and ask questions, and Ian and I are there to kind of help out. So
you guys have like an invite link to that we can post up?
Yes,
post in the
sir.
video and
Yeah.
everybody join. We can get a bunch of crazy trolls to join
Yeah,
and
That'd be
scam
awesome.
bots, you know?
That's the
that's the
dream.
goal. Yeah.
That's how you know you've made it, I think, at that
Right,
point. It's
right.
when you get direct messages from people in the battle zips.
When you get a fake Discord with your exact name giving away Bitcoin.
The old day was haters, now it's bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, either of
Oh,
those things should
awesome.
work.
Perfect.
Can you guys say a little bit about, my voice is terrible. Can you guys tell a little bit about like sort of like the inner workings? You know, what prover system are you using? What are the
Of course.
improvements you're doing? And that a ZK rollup is not really privacy preserving at all.
Right. So yeah, that gets actually into like the proving system. We're using Groth 16, for instance. So this is still very like we're going through and trying to learn all of this stuff still to a degree. So we need to upgrade to Plonk, and then at some point we know based on how BattleZips works that we need recursive proofs, and perhaps it's a good time to get into that. Because BattleZips is actually still privacy preserving while being a rollup. Because what we do is we use actually state channels to advance the game state. And we're exchanging, also kind of fun, we use something called IPFS WebRTC star to establish peer-to-peer communication channels over in something that's not as centralized as like WebSockets. So that was kind of a fun side thing. But once those are open, we're exchanging the same zero knowledge proofs that in BattleZips version 1 are posted on chain. Instead of doing that, we pass them back and forth across this peer-to-peer channel. And then once the state channel has advanced enough to the point where one player has clearly won, all of those proofs can be then batched into, we stuff them into a Merkle tree that essentially is a proof of a valid battleship game. Obviously, there's more checks on that tree than just the tree, but that root is a root of a valid battleship game. And you don't see the moves in that battleship game from the top level of the chain. You don't see when you're playing your opponent because you're only getting these zero knowledge proofs at the intermediary level. You don't see where their board positions are. You just know that it's placed validly. So this is where I would love to speak more with you, Andreas, about kind of the architecture of baselining, but it kind of contrasts with the idea that baseline requires a dead drop that you tell your other parties to go pick up from. We kind of avoid that on purpose, but once we have this built, one thing we would like to explore is how we actually massage that into the baseline standard.
Oh, it's the question is what are you trying to prove? The standard does not require that the proofs are validated on chain. It just should be. They don't have to be.
Okay.
So there's great design flexibility there. You know, with content addressable hashes pointing to Merkle trees and having APIs that do proof verification off chain. It's like many different ways to skin that cap, and you can do any type of communication channel peer-to-peer. You can use libp2p pub sub.
Yep.
Mats or state channels. It's all good.
Okay, then we might be baseline compliant.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It may be that everything you built so far, it may be not everything that the standard requires, but everything that is contained within it, right, is compliant. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we started with baselining, not zero knowledge, to be honest. So at the end of the day, it all kind of does circle back to that kind of motivation. So
I'm really interested in actually hearing about this what WebRTC state channels established over IPFS. Can you talk more about that? Like why you guys decided on that implementation of that? Anything, because it's just something I haven't seen yet.
sure. Yeah. It's a little bit of a throwaway. It's not like essential to the functionality of a zero knowledge rollup. But what Battle Zips is with it doesn't have a sequencer. There's whoever wins the game, basically, they either we're still working on figuring out exactly how to deal with negligent or malicious disconnects, but and we're probably going to use like a VDF, a verifiable delay function. But aside from that, whoever wins has all of the data they need to construct a proof to post on chain. So we kind of wanted to, given that there was no sequencer to begin with, we wanted to see how far we could take it with decentralizing the communication. And instead of using WebSockets, we were doing some research, and we figured out that the kind of the core part of, I'm by no means a WebRTC master, but the NAT traversal step, where you get to like home routers to talk to each other, can actually be done on IPFS. You can point each other or each of the routers at each other using an IPFS document to store that data. So you still need to pin it to make it quick, which is still kind of centralized. And I think there is still some turn server you need to host, but relative to a WebSocket, the amount you're relying on a third party to transmit your information is decreased considerably.
That's cool.
Why didn't you use like libp2p
I think it is
and the
based
pop
on,
and the pop sub mechanism there?
so I mean, I would, you could be completely right in that there's an even easier way to do this. From what I understood, libp2p is, this was the easiest way to do it over client side. And I could just be completely wrong on this. Is libp2p accessible on the client side easily?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we might have some more research to do. I think the other thing was WebRTC, the multicast was interesting, and as
Totally,
in the
totally
future,
fine.
having just established competency with that would be something to something that was reproducible and easily usable. But I think you might be right in that there isn't an inherent benefit in this specific situation to WebRTC over libp2p. It does use libp2p under the hood. So
this happens to me every day talking to Andreas. He's just like, well, why didn't you do that? I'm just like, I'm gonna go bang my head against the wall.
that's the magic,
It's
right?
just,
I mean,
it's just a question. I mean, it's like, you know, so that's all. You know, it's not just like, you know, I'm the all-knowing, all-seeing eye or something like that.
It's not like you're Lambda or anything.
Yeah, Lambda knows too much.
No, yeah, I mean, but it's just, it's, you know, sometimes it's like the assumptions that you've made in your mind, and then you just, it's like, why wasn't I asking myself that question, and why wasn't I going through it? And we may find out that, yeah, it is what you've done happens to just really work out better, or a more simple implementation, like who knows, but
right.
welcome
Right.
to working with Andreas.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how you reach anti-fragility, right? I mean, you got to poke as many holes as possible into it. So
Definitely. It's part of the process for sure.
yeah.
All right, I'm kind of interested. I know Jack's been talking a lot. Can we get Ian up on the stage and just kind of throw some questions at him? Can you tell us about your what part you did? I think you're more like front end UI. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can kind of walk you through like how we initially started with the battleship. I can't pronounce it. Battle Zips, third time's a charm, implementation, and what we learned along the way, what hasn't worked so well, and kind of to where we're going right now with this first grant milestone. So yeah, you're right. What I primarily do is front end work. So I ended up I remember when we presented at ETH Atlanta, we were using a pre-made Figma design, and it wasn't very good. It was kind of just like click and place the ships. But in ETH Denver, we had a little bit longer to work on the design, so we ended up doing not a drag. We originally aimed for a drag and drop, but we kind of wanted something at least a little more descriptive and detailed than what we had at ETH Atlanta. So went for a design where we could actually see what ships are being selected. We're not putting, oh yeah, we got the link right there if you want to check it out. Can actually
It's live. I can play live.
Yeah, it should be unless some bug is.
Polygon Mumbai.
Nice. Can I choose my opponent? Can I play you off, or is that?
Yeah, Jack, do you want to try playing him?
Yeah, so we could actually play a game if I hopped on. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep talking, and then we'll get a game ready.
Yeah, but so ended up just doing images to place the ships. It's a lot more easy to understand what you're actually doing towards placing them. It's built in React, which I don't know. I do front end, but I only find it so interesting. I think what's a little more interesting than the front end implementation is how we originally manage the state of each game. So right now we're trying to get to the point where we make ship moves over a state channel via WebSocket. Be able to play in real time. But before, what we use is we use on-chain data from a subgraph to do that, and that worked decently well compared to if you called a smart contract directly. But issues popped up over time. Number one is the hosted service of the graph just being very overused, not very performant. It can sometimes take 45 seconds to update. And that wasn't really, that's not really good if you want to simulate a Web 2 like experience in a Web 3 context. So that's being thrown out the door for the state channel. Another issue that we ran into was storing ship positions, because obviously you don't want to reveal ship position to the other players. So we opted for local storage for that, but ended up doing hard reloads, and then we see the game. We don't know where our ships are after that. So I needed to get rid of that implementation. So what we're doing before we roll up a game and put it on chain is ship moves will be made over a state channel. If for some reason you get disconnected, you'll be able to refresh the state from Ceramic, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with Ceramic, decentralized data storage, but you'll be able to refresh the game state from there. And then once it's all done, be able to take the game state signatures from Ceramic and then roll it up all into one single transaction. And then winner will be verified on chain. So that might have been rambling a little bit, but you can see we've kind of come a long way in terms of how we want to make this scalable, performant, actually playable to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I noticed in the middle you're like, oh well, the UI UX was like not the most interesting part, but it may become if you have to implement libp2p on the front side or something. So anyways,
Yeah.
let's just move a lot of all the business logic to the front end for you. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
can we play a game? What's that?
Oh, what was that? I was just going to say I started as a front-end developer, but more and more I'm trying to get away from that and focus mainly on ZK. So in the middle right now.
Yeah, well, you just have to kind of declare it and like change it on your LinkedIn. So just do that and you're there already, right?
Yeah, no,
that's what I do. All right, are you guys you guys ready to? Can we play a game? Can one of you?
I
share
see
screen
three.
and-
I see three open games. Which one am I joining?
Really?
I am not sure. So you kind of have to, this is a little bit of an unstable demo. If you start a game and then you lose who you're playing against, you're done. That account is burned unless we redeploy it. And there's also a really great example of why you need data availability. If you clear your cache, you've also just bricked the game for your account.
Oh, no.
For the positions in local storage right now. And like Ian's kind of, yeah, I don't need to completely repeat what he said, but that's a bug that will pop up because we don't use ceramic. So you have to be a little bit careful, and it's pretty slow, but let's I'll start up a game right now. Give me a sec here. I think I gotta derive a new account actually.
At least it's on the test net.
Yeah, this is on Polygon Mumbai.
Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
10-second block time.
Yeah. And it actually does, we integrated by economy as well. So you don't need gas. So I'm gonna start a game and my address ends in F1 A3. So let me just. Generating board proof.
Does someone want to share screen for the viewers?
Oh yeah, I can restart the.
I don't know. Let's only let the viewers see our reactions. Please share.
Yep. If I can just find.
F1A3. Who else is looking for this game? Yoav, are you looking
Yeah, I
for
don't
it?
see it. Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to know who I'm competing against to get in.
Oh, are we? Is this a race?
Yeah.
All right, well, you're going down, buddy.
This is coming through, right?
Yes.
We
We're
can only
looking at
see
your
your pictures.
screenshots. Yeah.
Pictures folder.
Oh shoot.
It's a bunch of personal pictures too.
Yeah.
Just sure.
Yeah,
I
very,
see your
very
dog.
revealing, I'm sure. Whoops. Zoom, you're doing me dirty right now.
It always does.
Yeah. Stop share. There we go. All right, let's try this one more time.
Did anybody else host a game? I'm seeing these 3 games.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the 3.
Now can we see it? Yeah. So I haven't put mine out yet. So
Yeah, whoever is playing with you should not look at your screen.
it doesn't matter. It actually, for the point of demonstrating the the functionality, because the other thing is we'll get through maybe 5 turns by the end of this. It's very, so this is another thing that motivated our kind of foray into scalability, was that this again takes a while to use. And if we expect people to use Web3 applications, they need to be sacrificing almost nothing from Web2, at least for the ones that are not incredibly revolutionary and you're sending money where you couldn't send money anymore. Those people might migrate because they need to. If you're actually trying to capture just like convenience, it needs to be the same user experience. So that's what we're moving towards. And it's definitely not there. But if we sign this transaction, it will broadcast, it'll relay a transaction through Biconomy. And which again is done in service of that Web2 UX. And the game is officially created. And now there should be a new game from F1A3.
Not seeing it quite yet. Oh.
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah.
We've not actually played a game for probably, I don't know, a month or two.
At least, yeah.
Am I in your game?
Nope, but I am.
Oh,
I'm in
Okay.
a game and I clicked on yours,
Ooh.
but I don't know what I'm in right
Oh, well, maybe it's whoever puts down their stuff. How do I rotate?
now. Oh, it doesn't matter to me.
Oh
I'm
wait,
racing.
press space bar. Oh no. No.
Oh, you're in trouble, buddy. Error joining the game. All right, I must have been beat then.
Aha.
Guess
No,
that's
I couldn't join it either. Maybe it's because we were both trying. We messed it up.
Sorry, guys. We got too excited.
You found a bug, you broke it.
We might have.
we'll have to open up a bug bounty.
Yeah, for me too. I think I found a bug too. It's not working.
It's not joining.
I'm trying to host a game. It's not working. It says error creating a game. It's going to generating bot proof and then it stops.
Are you on? You're on Polygon Mumbai?
Yeah, I wouldn't let him even start the game, place his ships if he wasn't. I'm trying now.
I've placed my ships against you, but I can't start the game.
Oh, live demos.
Yeah, it's always doomed.
This is what they're meant for.
I'm sure if I switch on mine, it'll work totally fine. Which is
Yeah, as soon as the stream ends, it's
Thursday,
gonna be
don't worry.
perfect.
Seems
But-
like it's working for me.
It is working for you?
Yeah, it says it worked. Let's see if
Okay. Can you
Okay.
play him?
Yeah.
yeah, Jack, can you go
Sure, yeah.
back? I don't know why. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, there was not a lot of QA done. Again, this is a hackathon project.
Yeah,
so
done
no
in the
worries,
course
for
of the
sure.
week. No UI to what we're seeing now, so it's kind of miraculous we even pulled that off.
yeah, actually, it's a funny story while we're waiting for Ian to. Oh, wait, no, someone joined this.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll fire.
My UI didn't work for other people.
So it's gonna generate. Seems like it generated that proof really quickly. But okay. A funny story when we were actually building this at Denver. We had built our first iteration of this code base, and we went into the ident3 Circom channel, or the ident3 channel, which ident3 made Circom. And what ended up happening is Jordi Bellina, who the guy, the head honcho, to put it lightly, he's incredibly talented, incredibly smart guy, took like an hour out of his Denver time to actually sit down with me and tear apart my code. Completely tore a new one. It was just not viable. It wasn't actually doing zero knowledge, but he took the time to actually show it to me. And so we had done these first 3 days of Denver, and we were having fun doing the whole networking thing. And the second, like, as he was going through it, I just watched all of that drain away. And from then on out, it was 5 days of just brutally grinding until we got that fixed up. But we did that was, and that's just part of the ecosystem is these people are still accessible. If you do the work and, give them something that is actually worth their time, they will make the time for you to kind of help you out. So that was fantastic.
What was the crux of the problem there that you thought it was doing zero knowledge and it wasn't? What was at the core of it?
So there were two things. One was it was how we were asserting things. There was like kind of like a developer crutch thing that would assert as like a syntactical thing, but it wasn't actually verifying. Like if you were a malicious actor and you ripped that part out of the code, you could actually get it to verify proofs, even though the statement was false. It wasn't actually a constraint, as they're called in the language. And then secondly was how if statements work in at least the current. I know that there are some, like I was talking with some of the MENA guys. Oh, I got a hit. I was talking with some of the MENA guys, and they supposedly have figured out a way to, and I'm sure Andreas probably knows as well, how to do if statements that don't compute both branches and then basically choose which one. But how it works currently in zero knowledge is you can't do if statements. You have to compute both cases and then choose which one you want. And that's a really weird concept until you understand how and why. It makes, like, now it's kind of obvious, but at the times it's just not something you consider. And that required a lot of changing how the code works. So, but that was really what he spent a lot of time walking me through. And again, I was eternally grateful for that. So. So I guess actually, I don't think I did hit on this, but you can see we're going back and forth, exchanging shots. And this is not, I guess, obviously everyone can see my screen, but pretending that that wasn't the case, you can't see this information. And yet we're still playing a publicly provable and verifiable game of Battleship on a public blockchain. So the exciting part is when you get to stuff like baseline, where you can apply this to real world applications.
You guys have any plans to just keep going with battle zips and take it to just some kind of like massive multiplayer online warship game?
Yeah, the next World of Warships. No, if we took it anywhere, it would be to Crypto Zombies too. We would build it into something that is very, oh, I actually did get a hit that time. That is very similar in premise, in that there's no intrinsic monetizable value to it, or any like product to it. But if you stand adjacent to this, you can start to pick up all these zero knowledge developers who are being created. And there is definitely business value in that. So there's ways that we're able to kind of generate interest in that. And then also, it is actually advancing the ecosystem rather than just like looking for some way to extract rent or make a profit. So.
Yeah, that's dope. Ian, can you sync some of his things? Are those misses are on purpose? Start thinking all this stuff,
right.
Please. What's going on?
He's got
Right,
integrity.
So, the X's are misses. The gray spots are pending shots, and then the red targets are if you've gotten a hit or not. And obviously, the limiting factor here, performance-wise, is the subgraph, because these transactions are taking they're complete in a few seconds, and then the subgraph can take sometimes over a minute to update, unfortunately. So you can see here, playing this game painfully slow, why there are concerns about scalability for this application. So
it's like real war in like the 60s or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's painful to play. But a few more months and we should have something very very impressive under our belts.
Yeah, did you mention earlier that there was some alternative to the subgraph that you were thinking of implementing?
We're gonna make all shots, or we're gonna store shot state and ship positions inside Ceramic, and then transfer state via state channel utilizing a WebSocket, and then publish everything on chain in a single rolled up transaction that Jack's working on right now. But we're actually really close to having Ceramic set up to store all game data, then move on to the state channel implementation. So that actually might not be a few months, might be a few weeks. And then we'll get that set up on the live site.
So you expect like what kind of increase in smoothness of the game with that? Have you done any kind of calculation?
No calculation, but it should, I mean, it should play theoretically like a Web 2 game, something you'd actually enjoy getting on and playing, unlike this.
The bottleneck is proving, not
Okay.
the propagation. So that's
Yeah,
the Z prize to figure out.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. So Ian, for real though, can you shoot that chip, please?
Oh, is it? Oh,
You
blink.
missed again, yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh, actually,
So
no,
one-
it still hasn't updated for me. Oh man.
So, if you're concerned about prover time, you might want to look at what like the Funky 2 prover system.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the proof. Sorry for my words. The proof is that the mathematical proof of soundness is not really fully established yet, but you know, for demonstration purposes and for improving the user experience, I would strongly recommend doing that, because you're going from you're losing less data in the proof generation, and B, you can get down to a few hundred milliseconds versus like 5 to 10 seconds.
Wow.
Right.
That is, yeah, that's very significant.
Yeah,
So-
it's just using it uses Plonk, but it uses FRI as the commitment scheme, so not Kate. So that has, so you don't need a trusted setup, blah blah blah.
Right.
It has a lot of advantages. The only downside is I don't believe that proof of sound is.
So someone
I mean, of course-
theoretically could come out with a paper that just wrecks the proof, is the idea?
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, or it's just simply, it's not peer reviewed and accepted. You could basically just do brute brute force it and break the prover system and be able to produce fake proofs.
Sure. Yeah. That
So which is again for demonstration purposes is totally fine. If you want to commercialize it, then that's a different cup of tea. But that's something that you might want to look at. And again, you should move away from trying to verify proofs on chain, which limits you to BN254 anyway. As the curve, then you might as well look at doing like Starks or something like that if you from a commercial point of view. So I just my two-way, but for just for demo playing, I would use something that's fast, right? And where the circuits can be written relatively easily and just go. There's Rust, no, it's Rust. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about if you wanted to make more enjoyable. But this is like,
For sure.
we're arguing like finer points are not necessarily relevant.
So commercially, would, for that, I guess that reason that you wanna be kind of not using anything that's not super battle tested, is vanilla Plonk the kind of best choice? Or it might be hard to say this is the best choice, but But what is kind of
So
the standard?
there's no standard, number one.
Okay, yeah.
Right? All right. So if you want, it's like something optimized would be like Ultra Plunk. And you can use the ignition setup, which exists already, right? Which is a public setup. You can utilize that, right? So you don't have to do a trusted set. If you work with a trusted setup, you don't have to do trusted setup every time. You just can use that, or even extend it if you need more constraints than I think the 10 to 12. I mean, we blew out ignition with 25 recursive steps with our circuits. So it's going to carry you a fairly long way. But if you need more than 25 recursive steps with somewhat complex constraints, then you have to test it how far you're going to get with ignition, but you can extend it. So that's sort of like my thing. If you want like something quick and get up, I would just do something like Funky too, or Starkware.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not really messing around with Starks at all yet, but personally, a little bit of a quantum doomsdayist or whatever however you want to phrase it. So eventually Starks or something as well, given that they're post quantum. That's something that we're really interested in and kind of diving into. So
yeah, I mean, which Plunk with FRI is also post quantum secure, because you're not doing the bilinear map. You're not doing the bilinear mappings because your commitment scheme is FRI, which is it's what's the stand for? It's fast random interactive Arco proofs of proximity, right? It's basically a statistical interpolation method of the curves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, it's about as much sense as it can without actually reading all these papers. But again,
but the words coming out of his mouth make sense in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when the piano's playing in the background. Very
exactly.
Theme, yeah.
I feel a little bad for him. It sounds like he's dying.
It's a very human problem. I think Lambda has a very human problem. Just to let us believe that he is not Lambda.
Yeah, it sounds like COVID.
All a ploy.
Speaking of crypto zombies, so like what else? Since we're kind of
it's like the AI got a the AI caught a virus, right? So that's what happened.
Full circle.
All right, so besides crypto zombies, like what's the future for you guys? Real world applications, long term, making rent.
Yeah.
What's the future?
So
34.
Yeah, sure. If you wanna.
Yeah, for sure. I can go ahead and
what was that? Kind of like a top secret government designation. You're like, should we tell them about it? Can we?
We haven't announced.
No, not really. Here, should we drop the link in the chat or? Pretty much.
Yeah,
done,
I got it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, Jack and I, having worked together in the space the past 2 years and given this, what?
I'm sharing.
Okay. Yeah, no, he can show it up on his screen. But yeah, given that we've worked together the past 2 years and this renewed interest, shared interest in ZK, we decided that we are going to launch our own consultancy to mainly focus in this area. And we haven't really started yet. We're seeing this grant to the end, and that'll go till probably early autumn, late summer. But once that's done, we're really looking to take these skills we've learned during the grant process and apply them professionally in a for-profit context. So yeah, no, that's, if you want to show off the site a little more, that's kind of a brief overview. And what we're doing, we're still kind of working out the kinks and where we want to go with this. But
You made this site, right, Ian? You're just like, show it
Yes,
off
I did.
more. No
although I
proud
will,
lips.
Jack chose the font, and I'm really liking the way it's coming out.
That was my contribution. Yeah, the font.
Good
It's
job,
really
good job there.
better. So we have to give him credit for that.
I don't want to completely co-opt this for a commercial or anything, but yeah, that's basically, this has all been it's kind of shocking even that we've taken it this far, to be honest. This is something that we were just doing to teach ourselves so that we could eventually be, kind of using zero knowledge proofs in a real world application, because this is a video game. And that's being a little liberal with it too. It's a toy. It's for us to learn and for others to learn. So we want to take this and then actually make some real impact.
Wow, well, it's really great that you're creating something that others can use as well. Battleship in general is always used as an example in baseline conversations we have, as you're aware of. And when we actually met in person in October, a lot of us on the call here who met you two, you were just diving into ZK for the first time. And it's been quite a while since then. So how did you actually continue learning, and how do you keep up with the frequent advancements in the space?
So I'll be honest, I did actually end up leaving my existing job at the time. And I went full blown into like, if we get the main one I have up here, I guess we just take this. If we go here, this right here, actually, this repository.
This
also
list.
zero knowledge proofs. First off, this is the Bible, and then second off, within this is contained this PDF. And this PDF is basically how you go from, at least in my personal opinion, as someone who knew nothing, like I can do algebra, I've taken a calculus class or two maybe, because everyone has to at some point in the CS class I was doing, but I didn't go very far into math. I didn't I don't have the background that most of these people have, and you can still understand it. You only need basic high school math to really get this stuff, which is awesome. But it's really the protocol and how all of this is assembled, as well as a lot of number theory. But this is it's a pretty long paper, but it goes through pretty much everything that is assembled into a zero knowledge proof, a general purpose zero knowledge proof. And once you understand how it works, it's like some of this interpolation stuff is just like par for the course, I'm sure, for Lambda and other people. But once someone who doesn't understand how like they're simulating like addition and subtraction and like mathematical functions with like coefficients and stuff like that, it'll start to make sense really quickly, even if it's still super hard to know how it all actually computes. You don't need to. You can just kind of get what's going on at it's still at a lower level for sure, but without doing all the math, you can understand the requirements, the logic behind it. So I think, Ian, did you ever end up going through this, or did you use, Ian took a different approach though. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have the freedom not having a job, so I kind of had to go at a more lethargic pace. But I did a boot camp through an organization called Encode, and I thought it was extremely informative because the main issue I found going through ZK information on the internet, learning materials, is it's either too complex, very low level math, and cryptographic explanations that frankly if you're not prior or exposed to that prior, it's going to be really hard to understand. Or it's explained on a high level where you're really not going to get to learn some of the more low level necessary concepts you need to implement some of these things. So Encode had I forget, I think his name was Lawrence, the name of the instructor, but had a very knowledgeable person come in, teach 4 days a week for about 5 weeks, and learned a ton through that course. But I will admit, working a job at the same time and doing this is pretty difficult. So I've got a bit of catching up to do myself, but I highly recommend. It looks like they just started a new boot camp. Looking at Jack's stream, but I highly recommend if you want to go down that route, seeing if they have any openings in a future boot camp, because I know they had a lot.
They made it free.
One. Oh, what?
They made it free.
Oh, did they? Well, it was free before.
You had to put a deposit down.
Well, yeah, true. Well, if they have no deposit, I count it as free before, but very helpful for those who are going down that route.
Did you guys like look at the Meta Labs GitHub repo where they like awesome zero knowledge proofs or something like that, which is
Oh,
like
Matter
really-
Lab.
Yeah, that's the
Matter
first
Labs,
one.
right?
I think
Yeah,
you shared,
yeah,
right?
that's literally I've got the Xerox Park as the, I
Oh.
don't know why this is here. That doesn't count.
Yeah,
Xerox
the
Park.
stuff on there is basically the Bible. They did a really great job in accumulating all kinds of stuff at different levels. It's you need to go through it yourself a little bit, but but it has everything, so you can go from like super high level to like really all the way down in the weeds and understand how it's like you use Fiat-Shamir transformations to turn an interactive proof into a non-interactive proof and shit like that. Where you're going like what? It's like WTF.
Yeah, this is could not agree more. We literally got, if you go Circom, this is where we found the repository that we're currently upgrading for our Rollup. It's a couple of hops. This is like adjacent to Rollup NC. It's like a repository that is like a learning, it's like a code lab thing, but yeah, this, like you said, it's the Bible.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining our baseline show today. This was a super fun one to hear what you have been doing since October and just on all of your current projects. And we are so happy to have you in the baseline community and always thinking of contributing back to the protocol and the further adoption of it. So we really appreciate your efforts, and let us know anytime you want to pop on as a guest, or you're always invited in our audience in future shows. But you keep us updated and ping in the Slack, share your resources, and
when you just start to actually move something into baseline or whatever it is, let's co-op on it, right?
For sure.
Let's get some grant money. We got lots of grant money, right?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, guys. You really did a great job.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you guys both Canes? Hurricanes? University of Miami?
No, that's Miami University in the middle of a cornfield. Yeah.
Both Red Hops.
No, and there's, I guess we were okay at hockey. There's not a ton of school spirit there. I don't think it's not a huge sports team school, but
Miami was a university before Florida was a state.
There you go.
Let's get that going.
1809.
Okay, I'm a
Alrighty.
Gator, so UF. So I know someone's
Yeah.
trying to end the call, but Cats. That'd be
All
great.
All
I'm
right,
just
thank
gonna
you
go
both.
Cats.
Thanks for having us on. Really
Thanks
appreciate
so
it.
much.
See you next
Thanks,
time.
everybody.
See everybody next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
You too.
Go Cats.
Good luck with that job, Ian.